Well, welcome back to our Stronger Marriage series. Today, we're going to be talking about communication. We have some special friends on with us today.
Yes, Stephen and Susanne Nuttall. We are so grateful to have you guys. I was telling Joy, I know I've told you this before, but as we're going through different individuals, one of our key markers is, man, we want people on the pod who are genuinely friends with each other, who genuinely enjoy being around each other. We know they love each other, but do they like each other, kind of thing. And you guys are at the top of the list. And so I appreciate y'all taking some time to be here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, your history, whatever. The floor's yours.
All right. Well, thanks for having us. It's an honor and a privilege to be asked to be here today. So we're excited. Stephen and Susanne Nuttall, we've been married for 26, almost 27 years in August. We've been here at Christian Life for that same amount of time. We actually visited when we were engaged. I was at CIU and we were both at CIU. We'll tell that part of our story in a minute.
I forgot y'all met at CIU.
Yeah,
nice.
That's part of our story, which is exciting. And then, but I think we visited, once we got engaged, we were we need to find somewhere together here. And so that's how we ended up here at Christian Life and have been here ever since. Right. Raised our babies here. And
Is Columbia home for y'all?
It is for Stephen.
Okay.
For me, Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I came
Did
from.
I know that?
Yeah.
I did
I
not
felt like
know
I didn't
that.
know that.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, Floridian.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my home church pastor there, my home church there in Florida, he and his wife both went to CIU and on the board at CIU and all that. And so it was kind of if you're going to look for colleges, start with CIU. So that's kind of how I got from Florida to South Carolina.
Two of our babies
and then
were
stayed.
born in Jacksonville.
Yes.
So
How
about that?
it's a very
That's right.
special city for us. So
That's
that's
cool.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
I love it. But then as far as family, we've got a daughter who's 22, and our new season we're in is she got married in October. So we have a son-in-law, so it's Emily and Aiden.
Miss
And
Emily.
then
Miss
Emily,
Emily.
yes.
Proudly.
She's grown up,
Yeah.
with the Henderson
Yeah.
kiddos,
That's
taking
right.
care of them and loving on them. And then we've got Alex, who's 19, and then we've got Caleb, who's 13, almost 14.
Yeah. That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so you're at CIU
Yep.
and you see her from across chapel.
Not-
How did you
No,
how'd you
no,
meet?
You sound like you know part of the story.
I know. Well,
I don't.
kind of from across the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
but-
I started at CIU in the spring of '97,
Okay.
and then Suzanne came in the fall of '98. So I'd been there roughly a year and a half when she came, and it was welcome week, and the freshman ice cream social was happening, of which I was not supposed to be at.
Right.
Because you're not a freshman.
Yeah, I'm not,
Right.
I'm not a freshman, nor am I an upperclassman that's helping put on the thing. And
He was just hanging out.
I knew that my Bible said, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing,"
Amen.
and so off I went.
There you
and
go.
I was scouting out the new coming students, and so, so from across the room down at the ice cream social, this hot righteous fox comes walking in, and it was all over from there pretty much.
There you go.
So we met, we kind of meandered toward each other and introduced ourselves to each other, and within 30 seconds, I knew that she would be my wife.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, it took me about 3 months to
Right.
convince her.
I understand that.
yeah.
I've been
Right.
there.
Yeah,
Most dudes have been there.
yeah. And here, almost 27 years later, it just still proves that I'm a good salesman. So
There you go. So how long did you guys date or engaged?
Yeah. So I guess we officially started dating in December. So we met in August, started kind of officially dating in December, got engaged in March, all
There
in
you
the
go.
same year, and then
Wow.
got married that
August.
August. So pretty much
A
almost a
year.
year
Almost
to
a
the
year.
date
Year
of
later, yeah.
meeting.
Wow.
August
Very
to
cool.
August. So yeah.
Hey, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had a full life, a full marriage, got a lot of kids, but anytime you have a marriage that has a quarter of a century behind it, you know there's a lot that went into that marriage, right? It wasn't always hunky-dory. It always wasn't bad times. It was a mixture of the two, and a lot of times as we talk about those things, communication is a key factor, whether you're in a good time or whether you're in a difficult time. And so we're gonna kind of hone in on the idea of communication, and I want to kind of start with the bad, okay? And I want to work our way towards the good. I'd rather end on a high note than a bad note, but we could have some fun with this, okay? So I want to know, if you related to the bowl of ice water story that I told, if you related to that in
Okay,
any way.
I told you it was actually a pitcher. It was not a bowl.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you.
So it wasn't quite as much
Yeah,
as you
I don't know.
Oh, it was
about
a
that.
lot.
It was a lot.
My
But
head's only this big.
I know, but listen, I just needed you to know. It was
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
pitcher.
Okay, it was a pitcher
Okay.
of ice cold water at the coldest temperature. It was like
Sorry.
Titanic type water.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't know if that resonated. I didn't know if that resonated with anybody, or if you have a story similar, something like that.
I'm grateful that it doesn't resonate.
Thank you.
I'm grateful. I think maybe the worst thing I got or would get is a look here or a look there, or or an understanding.
Right. Better not do that again or else.
Right.
No. I don't think we've really had anything quite like that. And I think because we were kind of thinking through that a little bit, some of it's just personality too. Like, I
Sure.
think I'm just, and not that Joy is not necessarily reserved.
Go ahead and say it, honey.
I
You
didn't
can
want to
say it.
make
So
it seem
good.
like
You are safe here.
because I know a lot of people are that way. And are there times when I would want to be that way? Yes. And have I been that way as a homeschool mom? Some? Yes. I've been a little bit more assertive in maybe the physical action, so to speak, if that makes sense. But as far as us, we've just not had anything quite like that. And but we've definitely had the looks and talks.
And
of,
it's really just, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a learning. I mean, y'all were young too, getting married.
Yes, yeah.
So we were still figuring ourselves out. We were figuring each other out. I think we were still in the apartment. So it had
It
to
was
be
like 3 months after.
3
I
months
was still
in.
19.
3
Yeah.
months in.
So-
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back, I'm like, I don't know that I'd ever really argued with anybody that way.
Yeah.
So you're just learning and figuring it out. And man, it took us probably 10 years to understand, again, the ebb and flow of, I wanted to finish the fight now.
Right.
And he always wanted to think on it. And I just did not understand that. And it was always that give and take. There was only one pitcher of water.
I was about to say, it wasn't like
was
an
that
average.
one time.
That's why I keep retelling the story, because it's the only
Yes,
story.
that's the
he's
only
had,
one he's
but
got. But
Yeah.
it's fine.
It's a good one, dude.
It's great. And the fact that my dad had to come help you with the hole in
Yes,
the wall.
that
It was
made,
great.
Oh,
it,
It was
no, that's
that made it even
hilarious.
better.
Yes.
That was
awful,
awesome.
dude.
It was very humbling for all of us, because that wasn't just him that had to then explain what was happening. I had to
Yeah.
as well. And my dad's like, okay, no more words. We're good. But
But I
we-
also think he understood.
he did understand.
Yeah.
Yes. We were very young and immature and all the things. But it was still years before we understood that is truly something you have to compromise on in communication. Is everyone has a style and a way of it, and you were afraid you were going to say something that was hurtful if we engaged, and I was just ready, loaded for bear. I was ready to go because I wanted it to be done with, and so we had to learn the communication style was meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
Now that means sometimes we do have to just discuss now,
for sure.
and then other times I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow morning we'll see how it is, or maybe in 3 days from now. So it was definitely a learning lesson, but it didn't happen immediately. Even with that just kind of like heightened like
for
lots
sure.
of things, but it took us a minute to figure that out.
And I think it does for most couples, at whatever level of volatility that means. I think it, they're intense. One pastor I had, he used to say, me and my wife never argue. We have loud conversations, but we never argue. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
But, so everybody does.
Well, we were 23 and 24.
We was
when we
I
first
came
got
in, and when
married,
I came to CIU as a freshman, I was 23, turning 24.
Okay.
He
So
was
I mean, not
24, I
that
was
makes that
23.
much of a difference.
I mean, I think
Because
it
you're
does
still growing
sometimes.
up.
Yeah.
But
A few more years under your belt.
yeah,
It does
maybe
matter.
just
It
a little
helps.
bit, kind of young adulting a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think
just
the,
by a couple years.
I think the maddest that you've ever gotten to me was a few years down the road with a speeding ticket with our kids in the truck.
Yeah, that was just recent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
He said a few
I was
That-
trying
that
to keep it a few
was-
years, honey, a few years.
a few years. Oh, excuse me, a few years ago.
And I'm glad you didn't have a pitcher of ice water or a gun.
Yeah.
or
Now that
whatever.
would have been a time
I'm
that
glad
I
I wasn't
probably
even
would
close.
have.
Something rose up
Yeah.
inside of her in that
He
moment.
got a
Right.
speeding ticket with the boys in the truck, and that was one of the times that I was just like, I'm not holding back for this.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna kind of let him have it. Like, how dare
She did.
you? How could you?
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
That's where
So,
you were talking about
guess that
the
is one of
matching
the
the
things.
tone with the situation.
Yeah.
That probably
Yes.
matched the tone. Like you were
Yes.
like, okay, I feel this is fitting. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
and
You're right.
the hardest part especially from a man's perspective, is communicating the 3 words "I was wrong."
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, we could camp on that for a
Yeah.
minute, I'm sure. Okay,
Well, we
so
can.
let's do this for a second. So also, I had a very hard time saying I am sorry or I was wrong for many years. I mean, let's be real. Like, I wasn't wrong a lot. But I
That is correct.
Right. We never are.
He's
The
gonna
women
stick to
aren't.
that
Are
story.
they?
That's right.
So-
But it is a learned thing. And
Yeah.
so how do you guys go about that when you do have a disagreement or you're not on the
Mhm.
same page or you're upset about the speeding ticket? Like, how does that look in your everyday life when you know, okay, I'm feeling this way, he's feeling this way? What does that meeting in the middle look like? And how's that apology situation go for y'all?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you have a thought that comes to mind?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, we were talking earlier about, I think for us, kind of our pattern is, and some of this is how we were in our families, you know, what you see from your family of origin, so to speak, and is that we both might be upset about something. And I think to us, most of the time, I think our natural tendency is to like almost kind of silent treatment. Like, we're not going to talk about it, but I don't know that that's because of processing. I think some of it is, okay, which one of us is going to kind of come to the
Yeah,
table
yeah,
now
yeah.
and break the ice, so to speak. And we need to talk through this. And we both end up kind of doing that. But that tends, I think, is kind of our tendency to just go, okay, we're aggravated about something. We might not lash out in that moment, but does that make sense?
Yeah,
Kind of
for sure.
go to our corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like, okay, how do we want to handle this? Or if we don't want to say something that would be hurtful, that we'll be like, man, we wish we hadn't said that, or in a tone, or just being frustrated. But then we kind of break the ice, so to speak, and come back to each other and say, all right, we need to talk through this,
Yeah.
or
Well,
whatever, and then
and I think
work
that
through that apology.
Yeah, I think that you do better with it than I do. You know, as far as the humility piece of it, you know, and wanting to work it out. I was raised in a home where communication, you know, wasn't the type of communication that you wanted to learn from, and so the way I saw it was that it was, you know, always kind of just pushed under the rug, withdrawal, you know, things like that, and so it's kind of what I've learned, and so it's been. I think my struggle throughout our marriage has been, you know, manning up and taking the initiative to create the path to apology, and it probably should be me anyway, because the majority of it's my fault. So I got to figure this out.
Seriously.
We have that on
That is
video.
on record now.
I mean,
We
all
won't cut
men,
that part.
intuitively, we know that,
Yeah.
but it takes a lot to say that. It takes
Yeah,
a great deal
it's
of
true.
humility to say that. So I do think that we are all a product of our environment to some degree. Outside of the grace of God, you know, we are a product of how we're raised. And I think that our communication style, how we argue, how we resolve conflict, our level of humility, all of that is so wrapped up in, you know, how we were raised. And it's you know, it's easy to point back and say our parents didn't know, but the fact is, like, my parents got married when they were 19. You know, they didn't know what they were doing either. And so you kind of learn from that. I think sometimes, though, it can be especially when you're a little bit younger, it can be easy just to kind of fall back on that and just say, well, that's just who I am. You know, that's just my style or my personality. And I like to push back on that. And I like to say, like, yeah, that's my personality too, but that's not, my personality is not a fruit of the Spirit. Right. And so, like, I want to try to harness all these things to make sure that the fruit of God is coming forth. And, you know, it's definitely more difficult when you're emotionally charged, you know, to harness those things. But I think we can fall back, and that's not healthy. That's a lack of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, it's Adam saying, well, it's the woman you gave me. You know, like, you put her, I'm here because of her.
He was man enough to blame two people.
Yeah, that's right.
And one of them was God.
That's right. He blamed the Almighty for his issues.
Yeah.
And so I do think that accountability is a very big deal.
Yeah, we can't stay stuck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta we gotta forge our path, be who God wants us to be, and to blame. There's no win there.
It's good.
We got to grow through it.
Yeah, you're either gonna, what do they say? You're either gonna go through it or you're gonna grow through it.
Mm-hmm.
So why not grow through it?
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're still going to go through it. So
Yeah,
Right.
might
You
as well.
might as well make it positive.
Might as well get a
That's
win
right.
out of it,
That's
right?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Get something out of it.
Get some.
Okay, so in your sermon, you talked about unspoken expectations. And I think you were talking about when you're maybe first married and you're talking about parenting. Like
Right.
you might be on different pages, but you expect the person to be on the same, you're going to raise your kids the same exact way.
Right.
But you don't talk about it. It's, unspoken expectations. Things about church, finances, things like that, big deals. But there's also small deals, taking the trash out. Who's going to wash the dishes? Who's going to cook dinner? Are you going to cook dinner? Are we going to get takeout? All the things. So as you guys think back to some of those earlier years, are there any unspoken expectations that you can remember that you guys had to go through?
Well, I think overall, I was just thinking of something as you were asking the last part of that question is I think we definitely took on more of the traditional type roles. And maybe that's because we kind of saw that maybe modeled in the church. We knew biblically some of the things. Now, we were not perfect. We didn't get all the roles checked off the list in perfect order. But I think naturally, so I don't know that, we said this a lot to each other, but the expectations were, of course, you're going to kind of do the man things and I'm going to kind of do the woman things, and take care of the household and just how we took care of each other and continue to do that. I think as the leader of the home and the helpmate, I just feel like that the Lord helped us to learn a lot of that. Even as we grew up, Stephen didn't grow up in the church. I did, but just having more of a Christian background
Right.
of that's what I saw modeled in a lot of our family and friends. And that just kind of naturally fell into. So I guess some of those were unspoken. Like I would just kind of assumed he'd be the one to take out the trash and do this and do that. Now, when it came to parenting, I think with some of just our personality differences and the way that we handled things, that came into play a little bit more. And they weren't always unspoken. They were, we had to talk about them,
Right. But that's kind of the point.
Yes.
The point is like, there are going to be things where either that you disagree or
Right.
you're unsure
Yeah.
if you agree,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to bring it to the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm interested, like, do you have any examples when you're talking about like raising the kids?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I was also going to say, I feel like we had a lot of really good conversations. I guess because of the season we were in our life and meeting the way that we did and really honing in on, and the reason I took a few months instead of the 30 seconds or whatever he got is because I was like, Lord, is Stephen the one for me?
Yeah.
Or is it because I just desire to be married someday? I just
That's
wanted
good.
to make
That's
sure.
good.
And so
Yeah,
I
she was
took those
amazing.
Let's
few
camp out there a
months
while.
She was
too. I'm
amazing.
sorry. I kind of
Yeah.
might have gone off on a tangent.
That's
with
that's
that,
good.
But,
That's good.
I was so proud of her. It made me chase her all the more.
Yeah.
Right.
and I made him wait a little bit, kind of
She
hanging
did.
out there. Like I've got to block out everybody and everything and everybody's opinion, and I've got to just got to get with the Lord on this and know if this is the future.
Yeah.
You know,
We
for
fought
us.
some
And
battles to get married, didn't we?
we
baby?
did. I was like, we've got a whole story on
Yeah.
the engagement
We
and
sure
getting
do.
married and all of that from the enemy trying to oppose a lot.
Yeah.
But us just determined, God, we feel strongly that this is from you and we're for each other. And
Speaking of expectations, I mean, I think that I came into the marriage thinking that certain things were the right way to do it. Of course, she came in thinking that certain things were the right way to do it. And, I think of money, to begin with. We were broke when we got married.
Same.
But,
Yeah.
Broke is a compound fracture. But we had love, and so that was all we needed.
There you go, dude.
That was all we needed. So,
I do remember people telling us you can't live on love, and I was like, watch me.
yeah, watch me
Right.
do it.
Right.
Watch me
You
do it. I've been
can.
doing it for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I remember coming back from our honeymoon and walking into our little trailer that we lived in at the CIU Village. And
we
had
had the Love Shack.
yeah.
We lived in the Love Shack.
yeah, it was
Nice.
nicknamed the Love Shack. Yeah. And so we opened our cards and anyway, long story short, we had $1,300 or something, I think, that we had been gifted, for our wedding and stuff. And then all of a sudden the idea was, let's spend that money on all the things that we didn't get on our registry. And
That
I
was my idea.
And I was like,
It's the one time in our lives we can get people to give us gifts like that.
Right,
Right.
I was like, honey, our net worth is now officially $1,300.
$1,300.
Right.
like, and so if the transmission falls out the truck tomorrow, we might have some pretty stuff on the registry in the house, but we're not going to be able to, and so that was one of our like very initial like, oh, you think differently than I do about this,
Yeah.
All right, now how do we come together and make sense of it? So
that's a good.
So how did that conversation go?
It went well. Yeah, I think that was a long time ago.
We did.
We're still here.
We compromised, and
and we ironed out financial thoughts and ideas over.
So
all
did
these
that
years.
take like a series of months or years? Because finances are a huge thing, especially when you're broke.
Well, and naturally he's the saver, and I'm naturally the spender.
Yeah.
So just working out those kinks in it. But I think for the most part, we would just have conversations about it and decide. With that, I think I had to come to reality a little bit too, that, you know what, maybe we do need groceries and we need the lights on. And,
Those are good
like
ideas.
Those
are good.
So we compromised, got a few
Maybe
things.
I do make sense.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's what we've tried to do for the most part is, but it may take several conversations. Like, oh, we haven't ironed this out yet. So that $1,300 is just sitting there. What are we going to do with it? Or other things throughout the years that do require a few conversations.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm a 25-year-old man and I've been married for a year, I'm frustrated about some things with my wife. I want to know, Stephen, what are you saying to me about effective communication? What are some tips? I mean, like hyper practical stuff. What are you saying to me about dying to myself? What are you saying to me about humility? What are you saying to me about learning to understand my wife? What are some things, I talked about the rules, the hard, fast rules that we have, and then about the guidelines. Everybody can have their own different set of all of that. But if you're talking to me and you're just trying to help me understand it as a man, what are you saying? And then I want to ask Suzanne the same for Joy. She's a 25-year-old newlywed, a little frustrated with some communication. What are you saying to her as a wife?
Have you learned the 2 words yes ma'am yet?
Nice.
Yes ma'am. Those are 2 good words to start off a marriage and to keep one going.
Those will save you a lot of sleepless nights.
Yep. You don't have to worry about humility. You don't have to worry about dying to yourself. You don't have to worry about any of that hard stuff.
It's
just all in one package.
Yeah.
No, I would say that that learning your wife's love language, learning what matters to her, learning what's important, finding ways to serve, and to sacrifice. I think the Bible's very clear in Ephesians 5, that Jesus says to love your wives as Christ loved the church, and how he loved the church was he climbed up on that cross, and sacrificed himself. And so I think, which I wish I'd have done at a lot younger age in our marriage, was learn some humility, which I'm still learning a little better at it now than I was 25 years ago. But being humble and being open, being transparent, and just doing life together. Yeah. Like she's what matters most.
Yeah. So talking love languages. So if I may pry, love language. And I know those evolve over time, but what's like your primary love language?
I mean, I'm probably like the serving and gift giving I enjoy. Because I think we all tend to do our love language, right? Show our love language to others, what we really want. Yep. So I think those are probably, I do like quality time as well. Just having good conversations. I can talk a lot, so he can listen a lot. No.
So what are yours?
So mine would be physical touch.
Okay.
Physical touch.
Okay.
Physical touch.
Yeah, we had to figure that out early on.
Right.
Words of affirmation.
Right.
Physical touch.
Okay. So different.
Yeah.
Very different than hers. And Suzanne, you're right. I will never forget when I discovered that I was expressing my desires to Joy. I was using my love languages.
Yeah.
Thinking that they were her love languages.
Right.
Yeah.
And it brought such joy to me. And I'm like, this has got to be meaningful to her. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll never forget the first time that I discovered that. So that's a critical thing, because once you can discover that, you're looking beyond your own needs, right? And that's really what you're saying. You're laying your life down, you're sacrificing. And it's especially hard when you're on two totally different pages. When you're like physical touch and she's like, yeah, that's number 5 for me.
Right.
That's like number -5, you know, kind of thing. And you're like, what? No, you know. But it requires you to say, my needs come second. Her needs come first.
And the thing I love about that, what you just shared, is that we've talked a lot here today about conflict and communication. But what you're saying is communication doesn't always have to be a conflict. My communication with her is learning her. It is stepping into her world, into her mindset, into what her needs are. And so while conflict is huge in communication and definitely needs to be talked about, I love the practicality that you just shared. That was great.
Yeah.
And think too, if as husbands, if we do that well, how much it minimizes conflict.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's the key for us, you know, that I would finish by saying as to a 25-year-old is study your bride. Study her.
That's good.
And love her. Love with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love that woman and know who she is. And it'll be a good day for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And so to the 25-year-old woman, I was thinking that kind of leads into this. I would say make it a safe place where he can do that. Make it where it feels like there's not as much judging, or I'm going to just tell him what to do and how to do it. And now we've all had our moments of that. I certainly do. Sometimes I can do that with a look, but
That's right. We all do.
We just know.
We all do
just
that.
know.
We know. But for the most part, I feel like, and again, the Lord has just filled in those moments of grace that I just prayerfully helped Stephen to feel like I was a safe place, and he could learn the things about me and I could learn the things about him, and just kind of go back and forth, you know, with trying to love and serve each other. And again, that's
so good, honey.
Different in different ways, but for the most part, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
learn.
Yeah,
And,
for
and
sure.
Stephen often tells our kids too, like we want to outserve each other.
That's good.
We want to try to do
if
the
there's
best we
one
can.
competition we're going to have,
Right.
let's fight to outserve each other.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean, everyone
Love
wins.
and serve.
Yes, not just you guys win, but your children win. They're seeing this displayed, and therefore they are going to do the same thing. So that's great.
Yeah, for sure. So for you guys, as an example, your love languages are very different, it seems. And for Joy and I, they're pretty different. Sometimes a simple conversation can go a long way with that. And so I get what you're saying about study her, like discover who she is and all that. But sometimes it's helpful when she just tells me. She's like, no, dude, stop touching me.
Please make it easy.
Right. Just make it easy. We're Neanderthals.
right.
You know, we don't really know what's going on in life.
All
And
right.
so sometimes it is easier if we just look and say, I would love to serve you in this way. I'm not sure that's really scratching your itch. Like, open up, tell me what's going on. And I think a lot of times that can go a long way.
Oh, yeah, because you think
that's
of
good.
like holidays that come about. And so even like in the gift giving realm, which is mine, which took me years to be like, it's okay to like gifts. Like it feels some sort of selfish way. But even in the gift giving, it can look different. And so for years, I wouldn't say something about whatever gift it was he had given me. And so I finally learned, like,
Crush my soul, dude.
yeah.
Because gifts is huge.
He
on
would
my
be so
list.
intentional on what he was gifting to me or doing for me, like a trip or whatever it would be. But if it wasn't what I thought it should be, I just would kind of harbor that, like, well, okay, well, thank you, you know.
This is
But
great.
yeah, this is awesome. But in time, it's just, again, learning each other. Like you do naturally learn each other more. But there was a value in me saying to you, you know what? Like that dress is great. Like I like this dress. And then eventually now, if I say something, I have to be careful because I get it. But there's just a value in communicating, not only with that sort of stuff, but anything. I can't expect you to read my mind.
Right.
And I think oftentimes as women, we want you to do that because it feels like then we're just in tune in a different sort of way. But I think that's, again, one of those, that's not a fair expectation.
Yeah.
So just saying it brings clarity to our relationship.
The idea of, well, you should just know.
Yeah.
It's like, I
Right.
can't just know
Yeah.
unless you tell me. Then if you've told me, especially if you said it repeatedly, I better know.
Yeah.
But if you haven't said it, how can I know?
Yeah.
You know, and
So
I
the,
think there's
to the
value.
25-year-olds, we would all say that. I think
Yes.
talk more,
Yeah,
be willing to
communicate.
share, and that takes vulnerability. I mean, it does, depending on the subject that you want to talk about and be honest about, you know. But I would say that for sure. Talk. The more you can talk and
Yes.
and share and learn kind of from those foundational years how to be open in that way, it'll help you, you know, along the way and down the road. Because I feel like there's things that we're communicating now in the last even couple of years
Yeah.
that we've just let our guard down about, and some vulnerabilities about this season of life that we're in, and struggles or challenges or the hopes and dreams we still have that we didn't talk like this, you know,
Right.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because we've, and obviously
that-
that's some history and that's some
Yeah,
years under
absolutely.
our belt.
Comes
But
with maturity with ourselves, but also you've done life a long time together, but your seasons have now changed.
yes,
So it also opens up a whole new realm of communication because you guys are in a different season. I mean, again, you just married off your sweet Emily. You know, you've got another adult in the house, and so your seasons change. So your communication skills actually have to change.
They
You're now parenting adults, and
Right.
so that's a whole new realm of that.
that
you
could
know
be a
what I
whole
mean?
nother
That's a
podcast
new
too.
realm.
It could be. It
It
could
is.
be.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
we-
there's a beauty and
Yeah.
there's a tough side to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it really
Absolutely.
is.
I think that if I could go back and correct some things, it would be to be more humble, more vulnerable, and more transparent earlier, sooner, as soon as possible. Because I look at, you know, just our last 3 years of doing life, and we've had a lot of change and a lot of transition, and you know, and we've changed a lot, right? We're middle-aged now, you know, walking through midlife stuff, which is difficult. But prior to that, when you're young, you rely so much on your passion and your desires and your energy and all these things to make things happen, and you miss out on what's important. And being transparent and vulnerable is what creates real intimacy.
That's good.
And so, you know, even on, to me, a much deeper and better level than sex does. It's, you know, being transparent and vulnerable and getting in each other's world is where the money's at.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the real deal. And, you know, as a man, the challenge for me has been worrying about how my wife would see me
Yes.
if I exposed
Bro,
this
let's
to
talk
her.
about that.
You
Yeah,
know, if I shared with her where I'm struggling or my shortcomings or that sort of thing, only to find out that really in the last 3 years of venturing into such a desperate need to know her deeper and for her to know me deeper because of the midlife stuff that I'm walking through, to find that the more that I open up and the more vulnerable I am, she loves me more.
Yeah.
And she
Yep.
draws closer
That's
to
good.
me, you know, and I'm like, and I'm realizing, oh my God, like I could have had this so much sooner
Same.
than now,
Yep.
you know?
And there is a death to a man.
Mm.
There's a death that comes to a man with revealing that layer of depth of the soul. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I don't even know how to articulate it in a way that can be understood universally. But when you're 25, you hit it on the head, bro. I'm afraid to reveal the depths of my soul.
Yeah.
Even to my wife. I know that she loves me and she
Yeah.
would die for me, but if she knew, like, you know, how depressed I was right now, you know, would she stick? If she
Yeah.
knew the thoughts that I was thinking, you know, and, you know, all these types of things. But I do think as you mature, it's kind of like our relationship with the Father. When you're a new Christian, right, it is a lot of passion. It's a lot of energy. You want to go into worship services for 3.5 hours and you just want to, you know, all that. But as time goes on, there's an intimacy and there's a bearing of the soul. I'll tell you this, when I was a new Christian, there were some things I would not speak in prayer because it was almost this idea like, man, I don't know if he can handle that,
Mm.
which is weird because he knows all and he sees all open and naked. But there was still this reluctance of truly sharing everything.
Oh, yeah. I get that
But
100%.
as you mature in the Lord, there is a moment where you're just like, he already knows, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just put it out there. I think that's a parallel to a
Yes.
marriage
Good.
relationship.
Yeah.
And when you're young, you're right. You go off the passion, you go off the energy. But as time goes on, true love requires more than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not always going to have that.
That's good.
I do think it's more of a problem for men. I think men struggle with that more. Now, there are women that do. You know, it just depends on your upbringing, your personality type, all that kind of thing. But I don't think it's spoken to enough. You know, where, you know, I want to look at a young 25-year-old and be like, bro, you're never going to have a greater advocate.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a woman that cares deeper for you. And if anybody can handle it, she can handle it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to say that and you want to give them that freedom. But when you're younger, it's harder. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it comes back to what I feel like I said earlier, is just helping your husband to feel like you are that safe place, that I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to, because we're all human.
That's right.
We're all, and I might be thinking similar things to him. I might be struggling with similar,
Yeah,
obviously
we're all broken,
the
all
man
sinful.
woman thing is different, but you know, just, the brokenness, the sin nature, the thoughts, whatever past things we might feel shame for, all of that, we might be struggling with something similar, but also just knowing that it's okay. Like, again, I'm just that safe place to land that, and it's hard. That requires the Lord to help you with that too. And just learning each other, I guess, in that.
For sure. Because sometimes, like, I know even as we have matured, there are some things that I share with joy, you know, about how I'm feeling about myself or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a pile, you know, and it's a burden. And there are times, even as we are further along in marriage and closer, there are still times I'm like, man, that's a lot. I just put a lot on her. But the fact is that we're called to be helpers. We're called to bear each other's burdens. And sometimes you put it out there, and it was too much. And you're like, I need to reel this back in, or I need to do this in 3 different segments over the next 3 months or something like that.
Right.
But you can't learn that until you just do.
Right. You just have to get it out there.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I think oftentimes it is, and this goes both ways. I know we're talking about you guys right now because it's more difficult probably to just, communication just comes naturally to us ladies. But as you're communicating, if I notice something is off and we're rocking on the back porch and we're talking about it, there's oftentimes I already knew something was happening before you came to me as well. If we are in sync and we are fighting for, you know, a good relationship, a good marriage, I'm going to notice something is off anyway. So what it does is then you're inviting me in to what is happening in your world. And so I think that we undervalue simple verbalizing what's going on internally. And so I think it means so much more to me, maybe all women, but as you guys use those words, and because I am a words person too, but you bring us in and it allows us to know exactly what it is. Because also on this side of it, if we know there's something going on but you haven't brought us in, we can also come up with these crazy narratives. Well, this might be happening, or what did I do here, or did I say this, or just, you know, you just begin to, the enemy takes just the smallest thing. And so I just think it keeps it healthy when you communicate about it and allow us to be in that with you.
Yeah. But even this far along in our marriage, there are still times where I feel the reluctance.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not sure what that is besides the fallen nature, pride, whatever. But there are still times I feel that reluctance, and you just got to lean in.
Yeah.
You got to die.
Yeah. You got to die.
So I think we've talked a lot about the importance of how communication matters here within our marriage. So could we talk for just a minute about how communication with other people, opposite sex, different things like that? Do you guys have anything that you would share about boundaries that you have with communication outside of you guys being married?
In order to protect.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
In order to protect our relationship and our marriage, how have we set boundaries? Yes. We've had to set a lot of boundaries.
We got that covered, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Do you anything come to your mind?
Well, I could just say, as a husband and a dad and the overseer of my home, I've always taken it very serious to protect my family. And even if that meant from other family or whoever, which we've had to do. And so you don't allow things, in your home or in the sphere of your family or your children that are hurtful or contrary to what you believe, think, feel, to make sure they're protected.
Yeah.
And so we've had multiple series of building a fence, and setting it around our home and saying, we're here, and if this is the way you're going to behave, this is the way you choose to live, then you're going to have to stay over here, because this is not how we do this here. And so we want to make sure that we protect what God has given us. Not keep them from exposure to the world and real life and that sort of thing, but where we can protect.
So when you talk about setting boundaries with family, that can be super vulnerable. Especially if you're having a conversation about in-laws or aunts and uncles or whatever the case is. And there are certain boundaries that need to be set. Even if you have the best in-laws or even if you have the best family members, there still need to be boundaries.
Sure.
But when you have to create hard boundaries, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, even a conversation, it could be difficult between husband and wife of saying, I need to say some things that relate to your family. And I'm not mad. I don't hate them.
Yeah.
But we need to take, God has given us this family, and let's have a conversation about it. That's hard, right?
Yeah. Definitely. That's what I was going to say. There was a lot of conversations around setting the boundaries and what that was going to look like. And I guess talking early on about what our values are, how do we want to raise our family? We both came from a background where there was some good things, and like with everybody, I guess there was some not so good things, and I think broken homes from both of our sides of our families. And so we really resolved at the beginning, like, Lord, if we're going to set a foundation on anything, we want to set it on that we want things to be different. And so we just really fought hard for that. Now, do we have great things from our parents? Absolutely. Sure. That we are carrying on to our children and our grandchildren and so forth. But there was enough things there that the Lord wanted to change in this generation. Yeah. And so we've just fought really hard with God's help to have that be our goal. So we maybe didn't communicate all the small things along the way. It was just kind of this resolve in both of us that said, God, we want to have a way that's so honoring to you through the ups and downs, through the slips and falls and mistakes and all that. But prayerfully we come out the other end with your grace, having just flowed through all of that.
Well, we set out with something to prove, I think, and we wanted to prove that, for one, that we could stay married. And, we didn't see that in our families. And so we were hell-bent on proving that.
There is a holy resolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a holy
really
resolve that has been our foundation from the beginning. It's watch this. We're going to do this, and we're going to fight for each other. We're going to fight for our families. And so that's what we did. And so we built, our lives on that.
I think this is such an interesting conversation as it relates to family and the boundaries that need to be set. And one of the reasons is because you have a couple of extremes in play. And one of the extremes is, well, he's my dad. He needs to have full access, or that's my uncle. He's a little weird, but he's fine. He needs to have full access. That's one extreme. The other extreme is you're starting to see younger families who are just like, they will bar parents from being part of their children's life because of their political differences. I mean, there are other examples, but things that are just like, okay, that's a bit too far, But I think it is worthy of having the conversation, that especially when you have young children. I love it how you said it. This is what God has given me. God has given me this to protect and to steward and to cover. And so if we need to have conversations about boundaries here, I need to have the freedom to have that conversation. I need to be able to have freedom to talk to her about that. But she also has to be able to say back, like, okay, I understand what you're saying. Maybe what you want to do is too far. Let's have a compromise here. Does that make sense? Because I do think there are some situations out there where there are families, they're just inviting toxicity into their homes.
Right.
And when I say toxicity, I mean legitimate toxicity. And I think some people need to have the freedom to say, no, this is where that ends. I heard somebody say one time that when you go to most family functions, at least in a generation past, the atmosphere of the room is contingent on the most toxic person in the room.
Yeah.
If mom is or grandma is the most toxic person in the room,
100%.
everybody bows to that.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to upset her. If somebody says this, she's going to blow her lid. And I think that the sooner you can set healthy boundaries with a young family, the better.
But I was going to say for our boundaries, they have been enough of such a deep spiritual thing going on that we knew, we needed to step in about a certain things, and even certain individuals for different times. We've also lessened the boundary. So if you have to set a boundary for somebody, it might be for a time until you talk through it with that person, or and realize, can they be trusted again? Maybe we can let them back in a little bit. And so we've gone back and forth with different situations over the years too, but leaving room for, we're not just cutting them off,
Right.
unless we really needed to.
And I think there's, I say this a lot, there's health in the middle. It's this idea of balance.
Yeah.
You can't just blackball every person that's ever looked at you wrong, and you can't just allow access to every person because they want it. You've got to find the middle ground there and communicate that
And
healthily.
you really have to rely upon the Holy Spirit to give you that, because I remember times in our conversations with that, like that we've had to have, that you were referring to. I just remember different times just crying out to the Lord, like, God, I really don't know what to do. Like, this is our family, or these are our friends. Well, not really friends, but it's mainly been family. But these are the close ones to us that I don't know what to do. Like, what is a healthy boundary here? What do we go from one extreme to the other? And you might feel like that in the moment, but really relying upon the Holy Spirit to guide you. And again, set them, and knowing that you can kind of come in and out of them if you need to.
That's good.
Has been good.
And I think too, another one of our heart's desires and goals is that our home was a home of peace.
That's good.
And because both of us, didn't have all of that we wanted on that, and so it was such a huge desire for us to live from a place of peace first, and then make decisions from that, because that's what we wanted to create. That's what we wanted, our home to be, was a place of peace and a soft place to land, and a place where we're protected and taken care of. You know?
And a place where your children, as Joy always says, when your children are old, they want to come back.
They want to come back.
Right.
And we've seen that in your family for sure, and in ours, thank God.
Yeah.
But we were even talking the other day. I think Joy said Emily and Aiden are in town again, and I was like, I know, I saw her at the wedding, or whatever the case is, and I love it. I mean, I think it's such a picture of health of a family, and I believe that's the way that it should be.
Amen.
There's a real beauty in that. But it only comes when parents take the initiative, and they have a holy resolve in them that this is who we're going to be, and this is what we're going to create.
Well, and what I keep hearing both of you saying is we could either repeat history or we're going to rewrite history. And you both chose together, okay, we're in this. And when I say I'm entering a relationship with you and we say I do, it is let's go.
Yeah.
And so that went from your marriage to your finances to your children. And so I love that you guys decided we're just going to rewrite the ship. Like we saw it done this way. We knew that's not the way we wanted to do it. Again, not that, you're going to pull things from parents and family and friends and all that you're going to use. But there are things you can choose to rewrite that history. And you guys have done well at that.
Amen.
So you can see it in your children. You can see it in the way that you guys just do life together.
Yeah.
We love that you are friends. We love that when we see you guys, there is so funny. Easton said the other day, he was talking to me about some people that he just never sees them together, the husband and wife together. And it was funny because he gave 3 examples of couples that he always sees together, and you guys were one of those.
Oh.
That's
And so
awesome.
That is
it
awesome.
was because it speaks volume when we don't even know it.
Yeah.
That was I don't even know
grateful.
what brought the conversation up, but he noticed you guys are doing life together on the daily, and it matters.
Yeah.
So
Well,
done
when it comes to the word fight for us, it's for each other and for our family.
Yeah.
We fight together.
Amen.
And I think, Cory, you brought that up maybe as one of your points in one of the sermons.
Yeah.
We were talking a little between last week and this week. There was a lot of good stuff, but I think you're not fighting against them. You're on the same team.
On the
You
same
got to
team.
fight
That's right.
That's
for
right.
it.
That's
And
right.
that is what we were determined to do.
Yeah. Amen.
Really from the beginning, and had to do that even through the engagement. Like just coming back, no, God, we
we started
really
right out the
feel
gates.
like you've called us to be together forever, and we're placing a stake right here in the ground now. So
That's a whole nother story in itself.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
and
we'll
we
get to
might
that
get
next
off the
time.
time a little bit for that.
But I do think when you're early in marriage, we always like the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
But that's not what makes you strong.
Right.
Resistance is what makes you strong.
Yeah.
And when you hit those things, especially early on, as difficult as they are, you look back in 10 years and you're like, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God, because that strengthens something in us.
Yeah.
And we're
That's
better
good.
for it today. But in the moment, it doesn't always feel that way. You're
Right.
like, God, just
No.
deliver us.
Yeah.
Deliver us from this
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
Yes.
100%.
But when you look back, you're like, no, I'm so grateful he didn't,
yeah.
because there's such strength there now.
It's really forms. You just kind of get formed along the way,
Yeah.
right? And as a couple and your family. That's good.
honey.
That's good.
That's good.
Well, you guys, I'm so grateful for your time. I know y'all are
Thank you.
Thank
busy
y'all.
people, got
This is
a
a blessing.
thriving family, serving in the church all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys have a lot going on,
This
so I
was an honor.
appreciate you taking
Yes,
Thank
it
you all
was.
so much.
the
Thank
time.
you.
I want to pray for you guys and for our friends watching, and then we'll wrap it up. So, Father, we are so grateful today for your faithful love to us. I thank you, Lord, that you give us marriage as a gift, but also as an example of your love, but how we should also love one another. And I'm grateful for the Nuttalls today. I'm grateful we see Christ's love reflected in their love. And I want to pray today, God, that you will just continue to do a deep, abiding work in all of the couples that would watch or listen to this podcast. I pray, Lord, for every marriage, every family, every child, every husband, every wife. And God, I just do pray for that strengthening to take place. And I pray that as you do those things, we will continuously look to you and seek your guidance and your help. I pray for your blessing over every single one. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen.